3, 2, 1.
My boys won't hesitate to run up on your boy. 엉덩이 빵빵빵 남자들은 탐탐탐 내 입술 냠냠냠 어디 가도 탕탕탕 등장은 짠짠짠 삐자 삐자 팡팡팡 디스코 팡팡팡.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I will be explaining on the definition of 4 terms, which is the safety, accidents, hazards, and risks. So first is safety. Safety is the state of being safe, which the condition of being protected against any harm. For example, you feel safe when you are in the lab, spiritually, mentally, or physically. Next is the accident, which is unexpected event which result in physical harm, injury, damage to a property, or a loss. For example, you accidentally break the thermometer or spill hydrochloric acid on your hands. The third one is hazard, which is a source of harm in terms of human injury, damage to a property and environment. For example, is the chemical burns and inhalation of toxic fumes. So, when we talk about the chemical burns, it is actually the hazard that you have to be cautious, because when you accidentally spill hydrochloric acid on your hands, you might feel slightly burns on your hands. Next would be the risk, which is an occurrence of a hazardous event which cause damage to health. For example, poisoning, skin rashes, and disorders of lung. So when we talk about the skin rashes, it is actually a timeline where, for example, you spill hydrochloric acid on your hand. It was an accident. And then you know the hazard, which is the chemical burns that you might feel after that. So you slightly feel burns on your hands. And lastly, it will cause a risk to your health. For example, skin rashes. So after the spill of hydrochloric acid, you will feel the burns and you will have skin rashes after that. So this is why you have to take care of yourself when you are in the lab.
Thank you for Adiba for your explanation just now. Hi, my name is Nur Atira binti Basri. So in this video, I would like to give an explanation about incident and causes that usually occur in laboratory. First, incidents are defined as unexpected event that may cause property damage but does not result in any injury or illness. For example, if a student drops a beaker in the lab without stepping on it, this is called an incident because the beaker just broke and did not cause any injury to the student. It differs with accident, where accident is unexpected event but may cause property damage and also cause injury to the students. For example, if a student drops a beaker in the lab and the beaker falls on his leg, then his leg will injure. These cases, it causes property damage and also cause injury to the student. That's the difference between incident and accident. Next, I will explain about causes that lead to incident or accident in laboratory. There are 3 types of causes of an accident, which is basic causes, incorrect causes, and also direct causes. The basic causes is from poor management safety and policy. It also because of environmental factor and also decision personal factor. Second is indirect cause that occur because of unsafe act and also unsafe condition. The example of unsafe act is protective equipment or guard that provided in the lab, but the student not use it during the experiment, such as glove. The example of unsafe condition is equipment or tools that provided but are defective. Last but not least is direct causes, which is unplanned release of hazard material which lead to accident. For example, such as acid, it can cause severe burns and also damage to organs. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you to Atira for her explanation. Now, I would like to share about accident causation theory. Accident causation theory was developed in attempt to predict accident and also to prevent accident from occurring. I will explain several theories about the causes of accident, which is human factor, multiple causation theory, and epidemiology. First is human factor. Accidents are attributed to chain events that are finally caused by human factor. There are three main human factors, which is overloaded, inappropriate response, and inappropriate activities. Overloaded consists of environment such as noise, distraction, and internal factors such as personal problems and stress. Next is example for inappropriate response, which is ignoring safety warnings and detect the danger but not taking any action. For inappropriate activity, it is involve things like performing experiment without the correct skills and underestimate the risk which involved with the experiment given. My next point is multiple causation theory. According to this theory, accidents that caused by a combination of multiple contributory factors such as behavioral and environment factor. Behavioral factor is related to someone's personality, like students, which is attitude, skills, and their mental physical condition. For experiment factor, it is factor that affecting laboratory experiment such as apparatus, precaution, and safety in areas where conditions are hazardous. Last but not least is epidemiology. It is a relationship between disease and environmental factor that has developed into an epidemiological theory, which is a direct cause of accident. It also known as epidemiological relationship, and it used to study relationship between environmental factor and accident. For example, experimental factors such as noise from surrounding can distrain students from conducting experiment, and it may lead to accident like dropping a beaker because students lost their focus and eager to know where the sounds come from. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Isa, for your explanation. And hi, my name is Intern Syafiqah binti Jamali, and I'm going to talk about the productivity of aspect of safety. The productivity will be increased if the safety and health management are applied effectively. This can show that a reduced risk environment is also a productive environment too. They have a few of the principles that can prevent the incident. For information, they have no way to eliminate the incident. Incident may happen, but you can prevent it. The first principle that I found is you must have a good management to prevent the accident. Second principle is teachers, lab assistant, and student must have a fully cooperated. Third, you must have an OSH policy. Fourth, you must divide a task in a group if you work in a group, and find a resources before you start an experiment. And fifth, you must use a technology for your written report. I will highlight about the lab manual. Before that, I continue. The lab manual have a content about the objective, procedure, apparatus, and chemical, and the data and result. So I hope you need to read the ebook about before you start at the experiment. They have a few of the reasons to prevent. First is legal or law. Students should not have to risk an injury at lab. And second is about the human right. If a safety and health management did not fix enough, you must have to take a lot of cost to fix it. They have a few of the tips that you can avoid the accident in a workshop or laboratory. First, you must know about the hazard, despite have already explained by Farah Adiba. Second, you need to create a safe work area, such as you need to use a sign or label at your apparatus and chemical in your labs for organized. Third, you must use a PPE that we call personal protective equipment, such as eye protection, to avoid the physical harm and hazard. Next, you need to have a regular communication. It is because you can get to know about the rules in the lab, so you can avoid the accident that can happen. Lastly, you need to know about the education and journey to increase your knowledge to using the lab. Thank you.
Hi guys, so for the next, I will explain to you about safety and health policy statement. I think you already know that your school laboratory provides certain procedures for safety standard operating procedure and health policy statement that apply to any laboratory work in your school. So here, I want to remind you again on the things that you have to do and cannot do when you're in laboratory.
But before we start, I would like to remind you, this is just a general safety and health policy that you must follow when you are in school laboratory.
Number 1, you have to understand the known hazard associated with the material being used. You must carefully read all the labels before using an unfamiliar chemical. Number 2, you must listen carefully to the instruction given by your teacher or lab assistant. Number 3, during your lab session, you are advised to always be serious and give so much attention with the lab session to avoid any unwanted incident. Number 4, do not enter lab room or storage room until you're told to do so by your lab assistant or your teacher. Number 5, please wear appropriate skin, eye, and face protection if needed. Number 6, confine long hair and loose clothing, and you are advised to always wear a footwear that fully covers your feet. Number 7, do not taste or smelling any chemicals. Number 8, do not eating and drinking in any laboratory area. Number 9, you must always be careful when you're handling the chemical. You have to make sure that you be supervised either by your teacher or lab assistant. Number 10, carefully handle all the equipment like conical flask, beaker, pipette, Bunsen burner, and many other to avoid any incident happen to you and your friends. Number 11, make sure to wash your hand with soap and water after handling chemicals or biological materials. Number 12, you have to dispose all the waste after experiment accordingly to its type. Last but not least, please keep your work areas clean and uncluttered. It is very important for you to know the rules of your school laboratory. I hope you can bear in your mind. Safety first. Thank you for listening.
Thank you Ain Atira for the explanation. Now, how to implement safety and health policy in our workplace? The employer must consult all his employees about safety and health. The employer can consult all his employees directly or alternatively by using a safety and health representative. There are some ways that the employer can ensure that all his employees are truly understand about policy statement. Firstly, the policy statement can be included in employee's handbook. Secondly, the policy statement can be provided at induction. Next, the copy of policy statement can be included with the employment contract. Other than that, the policy statement can be posted in intranet sites. Next, the policy statement can be posted in notice board. And last but not least, employer can make duties in the policy as a part of employees' workplace objective.